Welcome to Finest Work Songs. My name is Matt.
My name is also Matt. Here on Finest Work Songs, we love to talk classic albums, classic music. It might be something that is in the Library of Congress for music, like Willie Nelson's Red-Headed Stranger. Or it might be something that one of us thinks is classic, like I, for instance, think The Smiths' Strange Ways Here We Come is classic, while you, sir, do not.
No.
All in all, we just love to talk and drill down into the makings of a classic album.
I don't recall how we got to this one.
To this album today?
It wasn't on our list. Was it on your list?
I don't think it was on our list, but it is one that I've had people ask us about.
When you talk about the biggest selling albums of all time, this one always shocks me.
The thing that jumped out at me this week as I was listening to it, it was like song after song. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh yeah, there's that one.
Right.
I think I gained some clarity on why, from a sales standpoint, it was so big. It wasn't like the depth of this album is it's up there with Abbey Road and Fleetwood Mac Rumors and all that. This thing just had a crap ton of hits on it.
So that's interesting. And I want to talk about that more as we go on. The idea of what makes an album sell so much. To say it didn't have the depth of a Sgt. Pepper's, what kind of depth was that? Are we talking about like full album innovation? Are we talking about emotional depth? Because Rumors is a great example. For me, this is like another Rumors. It's a relationship album with poppy hooks. I really want to dig into that. That's one thing that's been on my mind as we've been preparing for this, is the idea of like, why did this sell so many albums? And I don't mean that as in it shouldn't have. It's just not as obvious as like a Thriller, which felt like a cultural moment. Honestly, maybe this was a cultural moment, just one that was a little bit different than a dance craze.
And it was a cultural moment, but not necessarily for two guys who are pushing 50 now to talk about. It was empowering to females. It was right in the heart of the rise of a lot of female solo artists who were coming on pretty big at this time.
And we're going to find out why. That's why you're here, folks. We're going to tell you exactly why. We're going to explain Jagged Little Pill to you. But before we get to the brilliant insight, it's time for Share Time.
Man, I am tonight, walking in Memphis.
Share Time is our opportunity to share out a book we're reading or a show we've watched or another podcast we've enjoyed or just something we want to pass along that might be of interest to you. But first, Matt, I had to ask, it's on everyone's mind who has listened to Finest Work Songs recently. Did those Eagles lay their eggs?
Matt, we've been on Pip Watch.
Pip Watch?
Yeah, pipping is when the eaglets or whatever, start making their way out of the shell. So just making little holes and that sort of thing. It's pretty funny because the person running the camera, as my daughter would say, has got bills to pay. Because every time the eagle moves, stands up, the camera just zooms right in on the eggs to see if there's any. And then there's debate in the chats about, is that dirt?
Oh, yeah.
And this is the point when the look goes from interest to, dude, you okay over there? And I'm fine. Haven't seen any pipping as of this recording. The problem is I find out it's a little bit late.
Oh.
And so they're concerned that these eggs aren't going to make it.
Oh, no.
So it's unlikely. So I don't know. We'll see how the online Jackie and Shadow community.
Jackie and Shadow. I was trying to remember the names. I was like, was it Pookie and Stinky? What are their names again? Yeah, we're pulling for Jackie and Shadow. The world is pulling for Jackie and Shadow at this point. Forget Harry and Meghan. We're all about Jackie and Shadow.
I don't know, man. I feel like we should organize some sort of benefit concert.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we can gather a whole bunch of famous artists together. And
record some song about Jackie and Shadow.
Little ditty about Jackie and Shadow.
I love it.
You make some calls.
I'll see who I can pull together.
Okay, good.
Thanks for the update. Hey, Jackie and Shadow, if you are listening, we are pulling for you big time. Couple quick share times for you. And I think I mentioned one of these to you over Marco Polo. Good new series on Apple TV called The New Look. It is about Coco Chanel and Christian Dior and their rivalry and also the parts they played in Paris during the Nazi occupation during World War II.
Oh, really?
Which is really interesting. Ben Mendelsohn plays Christian Dior. He was the character Danny on Bloodline, who to this day is still one of my favorite bad guys of any show.
I never watched Bloodline. Is that like one of those vampire shows?
You would think so. Yeah, Bloodline takes place in the Florida Keys, and there's drug smuggling, and it has Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights, Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. He's like the sheriff, and his brother is like a terrible person.
Our oldest, MC, former guest, has gotten into Friday Night Lights.
So has my oldest, Sienna.
I forgot the style in which that show was shot.
Jerky camera.
Really jerky.
Yeah.
Like not just office documentary style where occasionally when Dwight fakes the fire,
Right.
that the camera starts going crazy, but it's like that all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
And she said something the other day. She's like, they leave things open-ended so many times. They don't explain what happened. And I said, just wait, honey. Because you know what I'm thinking about. The most open-ended thing. When Jesse Plimpton kills someone
Right.
and nothing is ever said about it again.
That's a good point.
That loop is never closed. And it's someone who died by a high schooler.
Yeah. Then real quick, the other quick share time. Carl Wallinger from the band World Party and also from the Waterboys passed away in the early 60s. I don't think we would ever do like a World Party epipod.
Sorry, you want to say that again, that he passed away in his early 60s? You said in,
In
the
the
early 60s. Yeah.
Man, that's how up to date I am with this stuff, man. Have you heard Hitler died? Michael Landon passed away?
Those are your go-tos. First Hitler, and then Michael Landon. Hitler's your immediate go-to, only if we're talking evil, if you're trying to jump and make a case. But then Michael Landon? Was that big for you when he died or something?
No, could not have cared less.
Why did
no
that
offense,
come to
Mike.
mind?
I was trying to think of someone like far enough away that it would be like, of course he died. Like,
Right.
I don't know why Michael. I've not thought of Michael Landon in 40 years.
I do feel like it was big news when he died. It seemed to be a thing. Did
Yeah.
he die of something?
Kindness.
Yeah. It was all that business on the prairie and
Yeah.
talking to angels.
Hey, he probably had typhus or something.
At least,
Cholera.
at a minimum.
Carl Wallinger of the band World Party passed away this weekend in his 60s. As of this recording, I haven't seen what the cause of death was, but yeah, I don't think we would ever do a full-on World Party epipod, but that's a band I'd recommend people look up. It's that early 90s neo-hippie, retro psychedelia with some significant Rolling Stones stuff thrown in. But then a couple years after that, another sign of the times, I bought a double album Greenpeace fundraiser album.
Oh, nice.
And World Party's song Ship of Fools was on there.
It is kind of funny, though, that on a Greenpeace album, they're known for their ships stopping
Yeah,
the whaling. Just when you said that title, I
that's
just thought,
funny. I've
really?
not thought about that. Not surprisingly, R.E.M. was on there. I think there was some 10,000 Maniacs.
Is it the Rainbow Warrior double LP compilation?
It might be.
Yeah, here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this came out in 89. Starts with Pride in the Name of Love.
Is it a live version?
Yes.
Yes. I feel like I remember that.
Middle of the Road, Pretenders, Belinda Carlisle, Heaven is a Place on Earth. I don't know. I don't think of Belinda Carlisle when I think,
Greenpeace.
yeah. Eurythmics. Sting, of course, is
Of
on
course.
here. Yeah.
You know it.
Huey Lewis, also don't think of them
Yeah.
with Environment. Peter Gabriel, Red Rain, of course. Water Boys.
So a double shot of Carl Wallinger.
He was in there twice. Sade. Dire Straits, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they're the opposite of caring for the environment, just because we relate them to Excess being the first CD and Yuppies and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
So, yeah, we'll be coming up on Earth Day soon. Pop in those earbuds and get outside and give a little listen to World Party when you're going out for a little walk. I'd say start with Ship of Fools, Way Down Now, and then end with Put the Message in the Box. But yeah, rest in peace, Carl Wallinger.
Save me from tomorrow. Don't want to sail with this ship of fools.
Thanks, Matt. This has been Share Time.
Man, I am tonight, walking in Memphis.
Speaking of the 90s, we're smack dab in the middle of it. Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. We're actually not going to go in the true album order of the songs we discuss, but we're going to kick it off with Hand in My Pocket.
I feel drunk, but I'm sober. I'm young and I'm underpaid. I'm tired, but I'm working, yeah. I care, but I'm restless. I'm here, but I'm really gone. I'm wrong and I'm sorry, baby. And what it all comes down to is that everything's gonna be quite alright.
Had to hear some of that harmonica.
Maybe
Matt.
love some harmonica.
I'm a fan of the harmonica.
When done well,
Yeah.
it can be good.
Is anybody a fan of it like unconditionally? Crappy harmonica. They're just like, I don't care. You just play that thing.
Anytime, any plays.
I don't know if she plays guitar. I'm sure she has to, right?
I feel like I've seen pictures of her on stage playing.
It's just funny that she's proficient at the harmonica.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if in the studio she pulls that thing out and writes along to it. That'd be pretty funny.
I always did kind of wonder, like, what's in her pocket? She's not taking that hand out of her pocket. She's got one hand in it.
I just thought it was being casual.
Casual?
Yeah.
Is that what it just being
Think she's
casual?
up to something?
I don't know.
You don't trust those Canadians, do you?
They act all polite. But
She's protecting her harmonica.
that's what it is.
Yeah. She's got one in her pocket because she's ready to pull that thing out whenever it's needed. For real, though, like, it's a nice touch. I like the harmonica.
Yeah.
It's unexpected. She plays it well. She's not John Poppering all over the place, thank God.
Maybe that's what inspired her. She was like, man, Blues Traveler. That's where it's at.
They're not from Canada, are they?
No.
Okay,
but,
I was
you
just
know.
wondering if Canadians play harmonica a lot. You know, our kids take the recorder in school.
Oh, yeah. Like,
But in Canada,
they have to learn
they
harmonica.
learn harmonica. Some countries, there's like mandatory military service, or like
South
in Native
Korea or
American
something.
tribes, you have to go on some sort of like walkabout.
Yeah.
You turn 11 and they put you on a boxcar with a harmonica.
Don't come back till you're proficient.
So Canada railways are just boxcars full of kids playing harmonica. And then once you're good enough, then you can hop off. Yeah. Seriously, though, I think it's interesting. Not to keep going on the harmonica,
Sure.
but here I go.
Yeah, please.
That I had zero plans of talking about the harmonica
Yeah.
too. It's interesting just because generally someone plays acoustic a la Bob Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
and then they've got that little thing that allows them to play and sing. But
Yeah.
she's just like, no guitar, alternative rock band.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull a harmonica out.
Right.
But it works, man.
It does work.
works.
Sounds really good.
Okay, well, let's talk about Alanis. Actually, we've covered everything, right? She's from Canada.
She's from
plays
Canada,
harmonica.
plays harmonica.
Yeah, that's it.
You know her and love her.
What else do you need to know? Okay. Born in June of 1974 to two teachers. Grew up in Ottawa and then moved. She was in Germany for a bit.
Mhm.
Moved back to Canada. In the 80s, she was young. She was like 10 or 11. There's footage of her at that age having written songs and then being on Canadian news shows. And I don't have to say Canadian, you know? I can just say news shows.
It's not that bad that you're adding that because I'm reading the Geddy Lee's autobiography.
Yeah, yeah.
And he talks about how they had a regulatory system in Canada called the MAPLE, MAPL acronym, MAPLE system. This applied to radio, but it meant that a certain percentage of all content had to be Canadian based. I think the M stood for made in Canada.
M stood for Molson, for you and for me.
The P was for poutine. It was a way to protect Canadian artists and
Wow.
promote them. So it's not that far-fetched to say Canadian
Yeah.
news channels. I'm trying to give you an out here.
You're trying to help me out, but honestly, if I push that back, she's 10 or 11, she's on like Canadian TV. She's on Good Morning America or something. I'm trying to frame things accurately here. She hasn't hit it just yet. Arrogant American. So I haven't heard her first album, but she had a demo. MCA Records Canada. MCA Canada
Oh, thank you for
released
that qualifier.
her debut album, Alanis. But she co-wrote everything on there. And it went platinum, Matt.
Canadian Platinum? 500 copies?
What?
Nice.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Step by step.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Yeah, I am.
Wow.
You know I am.
Check this out.
I will.
Boy, you want it all or nothing. Lose the apprehension, baby, and go with the flow. 'Cause you know you've got to
She's probably like 14 in this video.
Wow.
You want the answers. You need to blast them straight up, baby. So say what you mean, and you mean to say it. Hey, you don't have to go and prove it. You just go ahead and do it. Your time is for the take and make it. The best of what you got now. Always too hot, never too cold. You make your best shot too hot to hold. Never too young, never too old. You gotta go for gold.
Do you think like hardcore Alanis fans, when Jagged Little Pill came out, went back?
Kind of like with Shania, where her first Terrible album sold over 1 million later
Yeah.
because of that. I don't know, maybe. It's so different though.
Very different.
This is like Liz Phair and Debbie Gibson.
This was post Nickelodeon Alanis Morissette.
Yes, I'm really glad you said that. You can't talk Alanis Morissette without talking about her stint
Short stint.
on You Can't Do That on Television.
Alanis, you must have a good idea.
I don't know. Alistair, you did that on purpose. Now I will hate you.
No, Alanis, no, really, it didn't have anything to do with me. I just forgot to tell you that on this show you can't say, I don't know, or you'll get flying.
I was a huge You Can't Do That on Television fan.
Were you really?
I was there for it every day. Yeah.
We didn't have cable at the time, but I remember that for kids our age, that was like SNL.
Yeah, to see kids doing essentially like sketch comedy and dumb jokes.
Acting like grown-ups.
It was amazing.
One of them always is wearing one of those pork pie hats and a vest.
Right.
And his name's like Vinny.
Yeah.
You could go to any kid's show now and that smart aleck kid is on there.
Yeah.
Vinny with the vest. Come on. You know, like
yeah. The Alanis origin story was like, she was on You Can't Do That on Television. More than like she did a pop dance album.
Oh, we didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Because that was Canada only. Which kind of served her
Yeah.
when she came to the U.S.
Clean slate.
Clean slate.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, around this time, she won a Juno Award for Breakthrough Artist of the Year.
Juno Award's a big deal.
Well, in Canada. Welcome to the Canadian Grammys, aka the Junos. They had an award starting in 1974, Most Promising Female Vocalist of the Year. Best new artist, really.
Yeah, that's even like just a polite way of saying that.
Most Promising Female Vocalist of the Year, 1992, Alanis Morissette. So good on her. In 1987, a promising new artist named Celine Dion
Ooh la la.
was up for the award and lost
Oh,
to Rita McNeil.
So walk through her green fields, go down to the sea. The fortune in your eyes is more like a dream. She's called Nova Scotia, and she's so away to feel. You've discovered a treasure no other has seen.
was Celine like really sick that day or something?
This was a wake-up call.
Yeah, it was
She's
like,
I lost to her. Jane Child lost in 1991 to Sue Medley.
oh wow.
It was the last name. They just saw the name and they were like, surely
She's gotta be good.
Yeah, she's got promise. Matt, on the male side, 1980, a bright-eyed upstart named Brian Adams
Ooh.
lost to Walter Rossi. And this is a song called Sniffing the Breeze, Feeling the Freeze. Let me make sure there's not another one. It just has a thing that says no award ceremony was held in 1988. What happened in 1988? Was there a war in Canada that we didn't know about?
Is there Olympics?
What if there was a huge war in Canada that we don't even
We
know?
don't even know. Yeah. It was like the Great Canadian Civil War between Quebec and everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think we've officially just lost any Canadian listeners we had.
All right, so she releases a second album. She was already in the U.S. by that time. She moved to L.A. when she was 15 with her family, so she was still operating in Canada as a musician. But NCA was dropping her because of her look. There's a documentary on Max called Jagged, and she says that she wasn't matching the body ideal that they had. She was just being
She's being a
normal
15-year-old
15-year-old,
girl.
and that's how the body works. So anyway, she's in LA at this point from age 15. She's making different connections, and I think it's a combination of her style and her taste and her personal experiences that had her riding from a different place and with a different goal and feel in mind. So this is around the time when she started working on Jagged Little Pill. Hand in My Pocket, it's a 90s anthem.
Yeah.
This is the slacker generation. She's talking about, I'm young, I'm underpaid, I care, but I'm restless. This is very much tapping into the time and what we're all experiencing.
We're watching Reality Bites
Yes,
and like
exactly.
all these shows and movies that are trying to capture that zeitgeist of the 90s slacker generation.
That's a
And,
great point.
I distinctly remember hearing and reading these things, these stats about Gen X would be the first generation to not earn more than their parents. The latchkey kid generation and all those factors that get into it, and where what's the future hold for us?
Yeah. As we're unlocking the key to this album's success, that's one. She was really speaking to what people were feeling.
Yeah.
She continues that with the next song we're going to cover, You Learn.
I recommend getting your heart trampled on to anyone. Yeah. I recommend walking around naked in your living room. Yeah. Swallow it down, a jagged little pill. It feels so good, swimming in your stomach. Wait until the dust settles. You live, you learn, you love, you learn, you cry, you let, you lose, you learn, you bleed, you learn, you scream, you learn.
There's this element with the slacker generation of a level of martyrdom. We want to suffer. We want to be put upon. The cards are stacked against us, so let's just embrace it.
Yeah, that's it. In the pre-chorus, melt it down. You're going to have to eventually anyway.
Yeah.
There's a deeper meaning to this and it's something that people could connect to, but also it's anthemic. You look up concert footage and people sing every chorus that she has. You would think if you're going to write an anthem, it's got to be bombastic gang chorus, but her voice is right there in your ears, right in the middle. It's a dry vocal. She's got no reverb. It's intimate. You would think the opposite for a sing-along. An intimate vocal up front, you would think would be something that feels more personal.
Yeah.
Somehow she's like, I'm right in your ear. I'm very personal, but also it makes a million people want to sing along.
I liken a lot of these songs on this album to the Matchbox 20 album we talked about. They're so drilled into your psyche and your memory, and you know it so well that you kind of get tired of them. You know, you're just ready for something else. As I was listening this week, it was like there's something about that anthemic chorus that I think still resonates pretty well. I'm not as necessarily over it as maybe some of the other songs.
Or as I thought.
Yeah.
I wasn't against it, but I've left this in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is when something becomes so huge, it's hard sometimes for it to go beyond the era in which it was released and written and produced. That's what this one feels like, as well as just some of her vocal nuances are a little annoying.
Yeah.
Just the way
The
she
yodeling
phrases
and
things and yodeling.
phrasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to take it away.
No.
That's just, I had forgotten about how much I enjoy just a chorus like this
Yeah.
one. So we can't talk about this without talking about Glen Ballard,
Yes.
famous songwriter. Came up under Quincy Jones and was present in Thriller in that sort of era. Wrote for Wilson Phillips. After he did Man in the Mirror, which was on Bad, it was a little odd, the trajectory when I looked. But I guess that's how it is with songwriting and producing. It's like you work with different people. It doesn't always hit. There was no reason to work with Alanis Morissette. She
Yeah.
had been a Tiffany knockoff. Sure, she had written some of that, but no one's going to look at that and go, you wrote the lyrics, too hot, too cold? Wow, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can work with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's just pull on that thread a little bit more. What else you got?
But apparently she had been a child star and experienced statutory rape, which these older men in this industry are taking advantage of her. And she didn't really have an outlet or a time. She disowned the documentary when it came out, but she's fully in it and participated. So I was trying to figure that out as I watched it. I wonder what it is about that. I don't know. And it's not clear. There's not anything that really makes her look bad. It does make her parents look negligent. And so I wonder if she's like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's not accurate.
Maybe they were a little checked out when all those things were taking place.
Yeah.
Just looking the other way kind of thing.
You have to talk about that because that's part of her experience. And that's also part of this album.
It's a huge part of this album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that she writes about. And so she finds Glen Ballard. He starts with basically saying, like, who are you? What do you want to write? And that sort of thing. And she says that, and this is a quote, I think as we started writing more and more songs together, I just thought, oh, this is an invitation. This is complete freedom for me to be who I am, yet at the same time feel safe. And he talks up and down about how talented she is. He throws out lines from 30 years ago, and he's just like, this line? Like, who writes like that? She's amazing. And so that partnership is kind of what we have here today. And I don't say any of that to take away from Alanis,
Right.
but also it's not just an artist. The other night at the Oscars, Billie Eilish gets up, she and Finn, and she's gushing about the song and everything. And yes, Billie, you wrote the song. It's both. It's that you wrote it, but also then Finn goes in. I want to thank the people who wrote the song with us. You didn't do this just by yourselves.
Yeah.
They're songwriters, and that's just how things work. And so especially when you have a partnership, I think that people take it too far and say, well, this little girl had Glen Ballard.
Yeah.
She's 20 years old. She had him. He's the first to say, like, no, that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah, the flip side of that is him saying, no, I had Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
And I had her
exactly.
story, and I had her authenticity, and we don't get Jagged Little Pill unless she goes through that. I'm not wishing that she went through all the terrible things that happened to her
Right.
to get to it, but it's great that she did have a mentor in Glen Ballard who could make it a safe space to feel comfortable to write together and to pour out what she wanted to say, not what people wanted her to say.
Yeah, that's right. Matt, we've talked about Glenn before.
Which one was that?
After Jagged Little Pill, he's in demand. When I look at who he was then writing with, he wasn't writing with the next 20-year-old. He wrote with Toto in 1995, Aerosmith in 97.
Yeah.
When artists are past
Past their prime.
although he did write with the Coors, Matt,
I saw that.
in
Oh,
97.
yeah.
Thought you'd be excited about that.
Woo.
But then in 2001, he gets a call from a guy who'd been working on an album with his band. They had it pretty much set, and they had almost the whole album done.
Yes.
But this guy comes out to L.A., he and Glenn meet, and they write essentially a new album
New album together.
in just a couple days. And that's
David Matthews.
busted stuff. Kyle Hipp chose that album for the listener's choice. And so we ended up talking about old Glenn.
Oh, Glenn.
I wonder when he'll come back up again. Maybe if we talk about Adina Menzel
Ooh.
or
How did John Travolta?
Adele Gazim. I'll never forget that.
I can never remember, but I know you have it like on the tip of your tongue.
Oh, yeah. Kristen and I say it all the time. It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. It came up on Instagram the other day. Like,
Your Instagram memory from 10 years ago.
yeah,
is
probably.
like-
I still don't know what happened to his brain. Again, is it some Scientology message? Was he speaking some spell over us? How do you, like, both words? Adina, Adele. Okay, good. Menzel, Gazim. You got it. You know, both words were messed up. It wasn't backwards. I don't understand. Anyway, I'll go on and on about that. So Glenn, he records in his house at a time when that wasn't done.
Mhm.
And I think people are like, oh my gosh, I'm recording. It's Glen Ballard,
Yeah.
who came up under Quincy Jones and worked on
Right.
like things like Thriller. His home studio is not the little Tascam 8-track you have in your house. These two are match made in heaven in terms of singer-producer, songwriters together. It took a safe space
Yeah.
and someone with a vision that could help bring out such emotions, both musically and lyrically, as this next one.
I want you to know that I'm happy for you. I wish nothing but the best for you both. I know the version of me. Is she perverted like me? Would she go down on you in a theater? Does she speak eloquently? And would she have your baby? I'm sure she'd make a really excellent mother. 'Cause the love that you gave every day wasn't able to make it enough for you to be open wide. No. And every time you speak her name, does she know how you told me you hope the world till you died? Till you died, but you're still alive. And I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away. It's not fair to deny me of the cross I bear that you gave to me. You ought to know. You.
My memory of this album was that I always thought that the musical tracks were thin, but not this one. And I think it's because of the personnel on this.
Did you know?
I never knew until I dug into it this week. Dave Navarro, Flea, and Ben Montench were on this.
Ben
song.
Mont's on this?
Ben Mont's on this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's like a super group.
that's cool.
Knowing that, then listening back, especially with headphones, you're like, yep, there's Flea.
I never knew it was Flea until this week.
Yeah.
Kind of heard the bass, like it was fine. She's so commanding,
Yeah.
but now I can't unhear every little Flea thing that he does.
It's kind of annoying.
It is annoying. There's little crap that he does throughout where it's just like, oh my gosh, Glenn, why'd you let Flea in the studio?
Yeah, you can't not hear Flea. The Dave Navarro part, honestly, could have been any.
Good for him. He's given the song what it needs.
Yeah.
This is a quote from Flea. When I first heard the track, it had a different bassist and guitarist on it. I listened to the bass line and thought, that's some weak shit. It was no flash and no smash, but the vocal was strong, so I just tried to play something good.
Oh, Flea.
I feel like he could say that about everything he's played on.
Right.
This is weak. Here I come.
I'm just wearing a sock. Nothing else.
Matt, one take vocal.
That's impressive.
According to Glen Ballard, 11 at night, which in studio time is not really the
It's
end
like
of the night.
the first song of the night.
Yeah, it's like breakfast. He said, that's the record. That's the vocals. From a vocal standpoint, no one has that much courage. Everybody wants to fix their shit, but she never did. She just wanted it to be that. And of course, it was spectacular. But there was no auto-tune, no double track. And he says, we doubled certain things just for effects, but all those vocals are just her at the end of the night singing something she just wrote. And that's the most amazing thing to me is the way she finished it. So did they keep the vocals then and bring in Flea and all them? Like they kept that vocal
Maybe they
tilt
must
around
have.
it? Yeah. But he says the way she finished it. Let's hear the end.
To deny me all the cross-eyed men I checked it to me. You oughta know.
You know, the wild thing is if you've got headphones on, it sounds like she's in a recording booth.
Yeah.
Usually you try not to hear any sort of room.
Yeah.
Or you make it sound like a big room or something like that. But it really does sound like a very closed space, which shows how they treated the vocals, just very dry.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that would be a big ringing note of reverb.
Yeah.
Oughta know. It's just like this big thing.
Yeah.
It's so dry. It just cuts.
Just cuts.
It's intense, man.
It is.
Chills.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned Glen Ballard was able to tap into something with her. And I think a big part of it was like just the rawness. To do that in one take is remarkable. But she was feeling something. She was getting some stuff off her chest with this song.
Yeah, I think that's what stood out to everybody is the detail. She was painting these pictures here. Would she go down on you in a theater? Whoa.
Yeah.
Verse 1,
Yeah.
really shocking to hear that on the radio, but also very specific.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Humpty level specificity.
I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
And then, of course,
The origin story of this. What I always heard was this entire album is written in response to Dave Coulier. I think it's more specific to this song. I think she has since said it wasn't, but
Coulier came out and said it was about him.
of course he did.
No, but like only recently.
Oh, really?
It's like 2022. He was on a Sirius XM show. According to Coulier, he said he was really enjoying the song before his, hey, wait a minute moment when he recognized the singer's voice. And he said, oh no, I can't be this guy. And he said there was a lot of familiar stuff in there that her and I talked about. Like in the song Right Through You, your shake is like a fish. I'd go, hey, dead fish me. And we'd do this dead fish handshake, which feels like so Dave Coulier.
It
You know,
does,
so like Uncle
yes.
Joey. And so I started listening to it and I thought, ooh, I think I may have really hurt this woman. And that was my first thought. But they were together for 2 years to some degree.
Wow.
She was 18 and he was 33.
Yikes.
And then her album came out a year later,
The timing checks out.
which is awful.
Oh, yeah.
He was born in 1959. She was born in 1974.
Yeesh.
That's not okay.
Yeah. I have a friend who he and his wife used to own the comedy club here in town. He himself was a touring stand-up for years, and then he and his wife bought the club, and part of what they wanted to do was stay in the comedy game, but when comedians would come to town, they wanted to host them at their house. One year, Dave Coulier comes to town to do a show, and my friend is like, hey, why don't we go out?
Go see a movie.
You've heard.
Yeah.
So he's like, let's go out and, just hang out and talk about the shows, whatnot. And they go to a place on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill. For those who don't know, it's like the main strip in the heart of UNC, Chapel Hill. I think they went to 23 Steps, which is an iconic bar. He's like, hey, there's a booth in the corner. Let's go grab that booth. And Coulier's like, no, let's sit here. And he picks a spot as you walk up the steps and the bar is in front of you, so that, as my friend put it, this is early 2000s. So every 18 to 22-year-old co-ed who comes up those steps,
We'll see Uncle
immediately
Joey.
sees Uncle Joey,
Cut it out.
and they swarmed all over him, and Coulier was loving it. And
That's what he wanted.
And my friend was like, this
He
is
was
for-
51.
Yeah,
Gross.
yeah. So it checks out.
Dude, that's messed up. Yeah, so the song is vengeful.
Spiteful.
She's angry, and that's all that people could talk about. You don't sell 30 million albums out of anger.
Right. One of the 25-year anniversary reviews of it had a line that I thought was really good. It said, she legitimized feelings and discarded shame. And I think that's why a lot of people latched onto it, because it was like, she's very honestly and descriptively explaining things that have happened to her and her response to it and how it's affected her. And hey, I've gone through that, and she's gone through that, and we've gone through that. And so I think that's where the zeitgeist of this album hits its peak with this song, really.
There's definitely an honesty, but there's a songwriting talent. You can write crappy songs without a hook,
Yeah.
know, and they're honest. That wasn't just 30 million women. Everybody I knew had this. Dudes, women. I don't want to like just reduce it to like, oh, it's Lilith Fair.
I mean, it was different, right? Like you had plenty of male singers or male bands singing sexually explicit things.
Yeah.
You didn't really have women doing that. Not on top 40 radio.
And that's the crappy thing, is they made a big deal out of the fact that she would cuss or be explicit in her lyrics. Liz Phair had been doing that.
Yeah.
Courtney Love had been doing that. So she's not the first. There's something about sort of the combination of everything. But talking about the anger, they belittled it. No one listened to Blood on the Tracks and they were like, he's so angry.
Right.
First of all, she's rightfully angry.
Yeah.
Second of all, she's writing about her experience. And third of all, it's really resonating, but it's not just about anger.
Yeah.
The whole album isn't just You Oughta Know. There's a lot of lighthearted songs and everything. It's funny, but this is what made everyone stand up and take notice. And it couldn't have come at a better time. Mid-90s, post-grunge, we're in the midst of alternative music. At the same time, we had the whole grunge movement and the alternative thing. But here's the Billboard Hot 100, right? I'll go up from 20.
Okay.
Freaking You by Jodeci.
From Charlotte, North Carolina. Ding.
That's right. Run Around, Blues Traveler, Red Light Special, TLC, Waterfalls, TLC, Let Her Cry, Hootie and the Blowfish. This Is How We Do It. Total Eclipse of the Heart, a remake by Nikki French. Water Runs Dry by Boyz II Men. And number one, standing there in this picture, holding a guitar above his head triumphantly, Bryan Adams. Have you ever really loved a woman?
Oh, gosh. Talk about schmaltz.
Even the whole top 20, it's just like love songs and lighthearted.
Yeah.
She comes out of nowhere. It's not like she came in the middle of Teen Spirit and busted through that and Smashing Pumpkins and Soundgarden. It's no flash, no smash.
No flash, no
like
smash.
Flea says.
Exactly.
He knew.
He knew what he was talking about.
Uncle Joey, man.
Sleazy Uncle Joey.
Seriously, dude. 33, she's 18.
Yeah.
His co-star at the time, Candace Cameron, she was only 2 years younger than Alanis.
Yeah.
So can you imagine Uncle Joey dating Candace?
Oh.
And if you're like, ew, no, gross. Well, just wait 2 years.
Yeah.
Then she'll be 18 and then.
Apparently it's fine.
Yeah. Get out of here, Uncle Joey. Let's cancel that dude. Have we ever canceled anybody? Do we have that power? 2 middle-aged white dudes?
I think today is the day. We cancel another middle-aged white dude. Actually, he's probably more elderly at this point.
It's like Nazi war criminals, man. No pity. Go get that dude from wherever he is.
Yeah, I don't care if he's 90 and living in Argentina.
Put him in jail. Okay.
Hashtag cancel Coulier.
Hashtag cut him out.
An old man turned 98. He won the lottery and died the next day. It's a black fly in your Chardonnay. It's a death row pardon, 2 minutes too late. And isn't it ironic? Don't you think? It's like rain on your wedding day. It's a free ride when you've already paid. It's the good advice that you just didn't take. And who would have thought it figures? Mr. Play It Safe was afraid to fly. He packed his suitcase, kissed his kids goodbye. He waited his whole damn life to take that flight. And as the plane crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice? And isn't it ironic?
Oh, people love to talk about how it wasn't really ironic, right?
Oh my gosh. She says, I think the malapropism in ironic was the only thing I regretted. I was like, oh gosh, if I knew more than 10 people were going to hear this, I would have been a stickler instead of being shamed publicly planetarily for 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all sick of hearing about that.
This album comes out in 1995. I'm in college. I'm an English major, for crying out loud. I can't be hypocritical and be all up in arms that, oh, this isn't irony. For crying out loud, like one of my favorite REM albums is Life's Rich Pageant, and they left the apostrophe off.
If you're going to be a stickler, you got to go all the way.
You got to go all the way. And then, like, we're talking about art, the deconstruction of how correct or incorrect these kinds of things are. It just gets tiresome after a while.
Yeah.
Who cares whether it's irony or not? She has this ability to paint these pictures and get specific with things. People were really drawn to that.
Absolutely. Again, captures that Gen X. Life has a funny way of sneaking up on you when you think everything's okay and everything's going right. And life has a funny way of helping you out when you think everything's gone wrong and everything blows up in your face.
Life's gonna life.
It's
I mean,
it's meeting the man of my dreams and then meeting his beautiful wife.
Yeah.
That's every 90s rom-com.
it is.
This is like the soundtrack of Friends.
Yes. This is the one that I remember the video. The big Continental and
Yeah.
4 versions of her,
Bright colors.
different personalities. And
It's a great video, man.
Yeah.
She's charming.
Yeah.
This song is a reason that I don't go back to this album or Alanis Morissette just because it feels very 90s. It feels like the Bare Naked Ladies.
It's been
Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire.
yes.
These cultural moments where,
You're trying to capture the essence of a moment in time, but you do it so specifically and so on the nose of the time. It leads to it being more dated than you probably intended it to be.
yeah. I'm definitely leaving this much more of a fan, thinking much more highly. I never didn't think highly of her. I just thought like,
I just didn't think of it. Again, so many of these songs were hammered into us for several years that wanted nothing to do with them for so long.
Now comes the time when we challenge one another. If you had to remove a song, which one would it be? And so, Matt, I don't want to make it about Dave Coulier.
Alanis is going to do a private show for just you and your friends, but it's all harmonica. If you don't remove a song. from the
Yeah.
album.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So if you had to, Matt, which song would you remove?
I would remove the last song, Wake Up.
No sentimental value to the rose that fell on your throat.
To me, it's just forgettable, minor key 90s. While I don't necessarily love the song right before it, I think it's one of those cases where you end on that previous song and the album kind of ends on a higher note.
Same for me. It's just a little bit like, hey, you could do without it. And on Not the Doctor. All right. Now it's time for your senior quote. In your yearbook, underneath your senior picture, you get to pick a quote. Represents the journey you've been on, the road that lies ahead, or some diss you're trying to throw at an ex
There you go.
in a very vivid way.
What's your senior quote?
Matt, I would do that sort of like optimistic high school
Okay.
from Hand in My Pocket. What it all comes down to is that everything's going to be fine.
I like it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
chill, man.
Yeah.
Put on
Hey,
some
you know what?
spin doctors.
I'm going to move to New York and move in with my friends, and we're going to hang out in the coffee shop and maybe work, maybe not.
Matt, what would your senior quote be?
My senior quote would be from the song All I Really Want. And all I need now is intellectual intercourse, a soul to dig the hole much deeper. And I have no concept of time other than it is flying. Because, you know, you're getting ready for college. You want that intellectual intercourse. You're ready for it. You're primed. You got to say bye to your bros and your friends. Move on.
I just can't believe you're putting intercourse in your senior quote.
Are you listening right now?
You can follow us on social media and engage with us at Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, at Finest Work Songs. Check out our Facebook page. All of our episodes are also available on our website, finestworksongs.com.
We're going to go out today on the song that we were planning on talking about, but we ran out of time. It's one of the best on the album.
I had no choice but to hear you. You stated your case time and again. I thought about it. You treat me like I'm a princess. I'm not used to liking that. You ask how my day was. You've already won me over in spite of me. And don't be alarmed if I fall. what you are. I couldn't help it. It's all your fault.
Our theme song is by the incredible band Medium Heat. This track is called Radio, and you should check them out at mediumheat.bandcamp.com. And check out any upcoming shows if you are in the Raleigh area. They are on Facebook at Medium Heat Music.